keeps you one step ahead. AI announcement summary. Cut through the news. Get intelligent summaries in 10 seconds. AI stock screen. Ask, analyze, act. Turn questions into strategic moves. Future of wealth begins with Moomoo.
As what you all can see, Moomoo AI isn't just another smartphone. It leverages the capabilities of the largest large language model and integrates into the financials and investment information that we've grown familiar with on the Moomoo platform. And the end results. Moomoo AI intelligently organizes and processes information based on your prompts or questions, analyzing individual stocks from multiple angles, including both fundamental and technical. From there, it generates tailored stock selections, strategies designed to help you navigate market complexities with greater confidence. It's fast and intuitive, and most importantly, it's easy to use. Since its launch, over 500,000 users have turned to Moomoo AI to navigate the market more confidently. But don't just take our word for it. Here's what some of our users have to say. And because we believe that intelligence tools should be accessible to all, that's why we are giving you a chance to experience the power of Moomoo AI today. It's our way of letting you discover firsthand how intelligence and clarity can go hand in hand. That's why we believe Moomoo AI will be a game changer for every investor at every level. As we empower investors with smarter tools like Moomoo AI, we are also committed to broadening the range of opportunities available to all. Just a year ago, I wrapped up my keynote by hinting at something new, the launch of crypto trading on our platform. Since then, clients' adoption has surged, and now we are doubling down on this movement with an expanded pipeline of crypto offering. Very soon, you will be able to seamlessly deposit and withdraw your digital payment token on Moomoo platform. That's the power of Moomoo AI. We are not just standing on the sidelines, we are stepping into the future of finance with intentions and convictions, building a more dynamic, inclusive, and forward-looking ecosystem that meets the evolving needs of modern investors. In fact, 4 in 10 investors in Moomoo Singapore now holds digital assets in their portfolio, reflecting a decisive shift towards crypto portfolio diversifications. According to the data from our second half 2025 investor sentiment survey. What's even more striking, among those with a higher risk appetite, almost 30% plans to deepen their crypto exposure in the second half of 2025. At Moomoo, we are always looking to expand your investment toolkit, whether it's to access new classes, streamline your investment process, etc. We are committed to giving you all the tools you need to succeed in your investment journey. So whether you are exploring digital assets for the first time or deepening your crypto strategy, Moomoo equips you with confidence to embark on the next chapter of your investment journey. As Singapore celebrates 6 decades of prosperity, Moomoo Singapore is proud to be a part of a small but powerful years ago. Over the past 4 years, we have been active in the community through our financial literacy outreach. Our strong partnership with institutions like SGX and SIAS also aligns with the government's plans to revitalize Singapore capital market. And today, we are taking this a step further by announcing that we will be launching CDP linkage very soon, fully integrating your SGX listed holdings within the Moomoo Act. Through continued innovations, educations and partnership, we are dedicated to empower every investor to harness the full potential of our ecosystem and playing a leading role in the next chapter of Singapore financial story. But that's not all. In a digital-first world, true premium services come from seamless connectivity and human connections. That's why Moomoo is opening physical boutiques across Singapore, designed to deepen retail participations and strengthening our community. These elegantly designed spaces ensure retail investors receive hands-on guidance from onboarding to portfolio strategy and real-time tutorial, delivered by our expert advisors. They will also host investors events, workshops, and one-on-one clinics, complementing our award-winning digital toolkits. More importantly, these stores will offer our community space to gather and grow together. In bringing our digital strengths into the real world, we aim to turn every investor into empowered, lifelong participants in Singapore financial ecosystem. As Singapore celebrates 60 years of financial success, Moomoo stands committed as your trusted partner in Singapore. With over 1.5 million users, cultural transformation is in motion. Our innovations, such as Moomoo AI, are built to empower every investor, bridging digital convenience with personal connections. We are not just observers of change, we are architects. We are forging a landscape where confidence, community, and smart investing converge. At Moomoo, we are not just adapting to the future of wealth, we are actively shaping it. Together, let's reimagine and embrace the future of wealth. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for the insightful presentation. Well, isn't that a powerful reminder of really how far we've come and how much more lies ahead of us as we rethink what it means to invest in the future? Now, we're now continuing that conversation with a very special fireside chat that zeroes in on a market that is very, very close to our hearts, the Singapore Bourse, the SGX. Now, our next guest has deep expertise and experience in shaping capital markets landscape and driving market development across institutional and retail segments. So as head of equities at SGX Group, he plays a critical role in strengthening Singapore's position as a trusted, innovative, and globally connected investment hub. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Ng Yao Loong as we explore how Singapore is building investor confidence through new tools, new education and trust, and what it will also take for our markets to stay competitive and resilient in the years to come. So Yao Loong, please join us. speak with you today in front of so many people on a Saturday. Before we begin, I'd like to, of course, briefly share the topic of our conversation and also the flow so our audience can follow and catch up with us as well. So the title of today's conversation is The Future of Investing in Singapore, and we'll begin by looking at the retail landscape right here before moving on to new investment opportunities at SGX, the role retail investors play before looking at really what's next for the local boss. So, Yellow, let's get the conversation started. And let's start with the present. How would you describe the current retail investor landscape in Singapore? Are we seeing more participation, or is it all just noise?
Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation to speak at this event. It's my first time attending the MOVEFest, and actually I think this reflects the retail investing landscape in Singapore. This is the energy, this is the community of people who want to learn, who want to connect, and who want to invest and build their financial wealth. This is where we come in, SGX, to provide a trusted platform. But it's interesting to see how retail has evolved over the years. Actually, it's become a lot more sophisticated. Liberation Day, something that we will always remember. When Donald Trump announced his tariffs in April, stocks fell. But guess who came in? Retail net bought 1.5 billion when the bank stocks fell. The local bank stocks. And look where the banking stocks are trading at. And we have seen retail investing behavior coming reflected in our inflows in REITs in the last 6 months. If I look at the REIT ETFs that we have, the inflows from the retail have gone up by 25%. So that reflects investors, our retail investors, really looking at the market and really want to pick and actually timing the market pretty well.
So from SGX's perspective, right, what are the key trends really shaping how retail investors are engaging with the market today, and what role do you see platforms like Move playing in this regard and making investing more accessible and actionable for retail investors?
I think it's really about building a community, right? So what we have, and traditionally this is what the ecosystem does. We have information, we pass it down, people use the brokers to access the platforms, to get access to the markets. But I think it has moved beyond that. It has gone personalized, as Gavin has shown us. People are trading a wider range of instruments. I was quite struck by what Gavin showed in terms of the number of investors, or proportion of investors trading crypto. This is what is happening on the ground, right? The younger investors are digitally native. They trade globally, and they trade all kinds of asset classes, build a diversified portfolio. And this is where SGX wants to play a role. We do have our cash market. This is the stocks that you're all familiar with, the DBSs of the world, the SIAs, and so on. But what we have are also ETFs that provide underlying across the group, offering thematic exposures with S&P 500, with gold as well. So these are all interesting stuff which our investors can access. And we have the depository receipts, which Mike mentioned. So from the ease of accessing the Singapore market, we can now actually get exposure to both Thai and Hong Kong underlying, such as Meituan, Xiaomi, and so on.
Now, you've talked about some new opportunities in SGX, right? In particular, the ETFs, Hong Kong listed DRs, DLCs. What's the strategic thinking behind these launches, and which asset classes or instruments right now are attracting the most interest today?
The platform provides different choices for the investors to access. So as I said, we have gold, which is doing very well given the uncertainty, and our investors can access that through the ETF or paper format. We've got fixed income, and actually because of what's happening globally, there's been interest both Sing dollar and Sing dollar credit. And we see that in our fixed income ETFs. We clearly see that in our REITs. We have seen recent follow-on offerings by REIT, existing REITs that are traded on SGX. And we're going to celebrate an IPO, a data center IPO, which will be our third, is going to be listed on SGX on Monday. And what I've heard is that it is multiple times oversubscribed. So many people say, we don't have the likes of NVIDIA on SGX. It is true. What we can clearly is to look at whether we can do a depository receipt on such underlying. But there are other ways where you can get exposure to AI. Data center is one way. Digital infrastructure is one way. You just do it in a different format, in a REIT format, but that gives you exposure to the macro trends of the world.
Since you talk about IPO, data center, etc., let's talk more about that. IPOs are often seen as a market barometer for vibrancy. So why is SGX seeing fewer IPOs if I'm right on that track? And what is the current strategy around this? And if I could stretch the question a bit, some say SGX listings are skewed towards Chinese companies. Is this by design or is this due to broader structural factors that we need to address?
Quite a few questions you wrote into your what you just asked. Yeah. The IPO question is a perennial question. We're going to deal with it. I'm impressed with what Hong Kong Exchange and other exchanges has done in terms of bringing companies to the public markets. This is what we are quite focused on together with the committee led by Mr. And we are focused on trying to solve issues that can better so for example, liquidity in the secondary markets, MBS's balance sheet, activities. And I think what is important is the first time
Thank you very much.
the government, the ecosystem, introduce measures that are mutually reinforcing. It's not done sporadically, it's not done in a piecemeal manner. It's about bringing liquidity, it's about expanding product shelf, it's about improving investor access. For example, we have been looking at our lot sizes. We know that some of our stocks have done very well.
Let's see if we can
And we want to improve accessibility of these stocks to many parts of the investing population. So we will be looking at things so stay tuned.
Okay, bye-bye.
The overall thrust of our investor education is quite is one point in the non-index stocks has worked even before they have actually deployed money. Right? Money hasn't been deployed. MBS
你要坐哪里？你要坐这边还是？
but investors are already positioning themselves. Smart money are looking at what are the stocks that are doing well, what are the stocks that were a little bit undervalued. They are already going into these stocks to reflect their belief and conviction that these are the stocks that are winners.
Why? Because the decline based on what we saw when you got in around 30,000, and obviously the market is very back when it was before this announcement, and this was around 40,000. Market will go down 15%, but your warrant went up like 105%. So these are true stats. I didn't make it up, okay? And if you look at some of the other stocks, maybe you apply the same technique. Looking good. China Life Insurance, they've been surging, right, because of news of how basically the Chinese government go there to go in and buy more shares, right, especially to the sell down. And they have obviously profited from gathering a lot of shares from their portfolio and getting a lot of government injection money. China Life is one of those top performers over the last 3 months. But you can see instead of gaining 36%, which is incredible, via the warrants you have made 200%. Okay, these warrants have all gained around between 3 times to 7, 8 times more than underlying. And they say that this is why some investors out there are considering warrants. And this is why I would like you to know about this product, because at the cost of, if you look here, some of these are costing less than 1 cent, okay, and some of them are around 40 cents. With less than 20 cents, you can multiply your returns when you do it right. Instead of making just 36%, you can make 200%, and then you're probably done for the year, isn't it? Okay, and this product is known as warrants. And in this case, they are call warrants which track the market higher, and therefore when the market does go higher, they also make magnified gains. Okay, what about put warrants? I was saying put warrants is important for Singapore investors to know because we don't use them enough. Which is why whenever there is sell down, you see a lot of Singaporeans really upset by what's happened. But a small group are cheering. Why? Either because they have managed to successfully use put warrants to protect their portfolio, okay, or they simply bought it to profit from the sell down. If you don't know how to short the market, you can do it via a put warrant. How does it work? Well, same as whenever there's a sell down, there's a support, right? Whenever stocks hit a high, we have what we call what? Anyone? What level? They always hit price levels which are perceived as what? Resistance, right? Okay, and that's where you might see some people take profits, right? Because they're happy with their gains and they like to take profits at specific resistance levels, which again, when you can look at charts, obviously you can go to professionals who will issue target prices and all that. And usually people like to take profit at those levels. Now, of course, then they get sold down, and then typically we're looking for, when it gets sold down, anything gets sold down, we're looking for a support level, right? Thank you, sir. Okay, and so again, when you use a put warrant, you need to do that with a product like warrants. You can't do that with leverage products. Why? Because there is a holding cost that grows with time, and this applies to any leverage product that you hear about, okay? So bear that in mind. These kind of instruments that grow your money so much in the short term are meant to be held only for the short term. And if you were wrong, you have to cover the losses. And step 3, effective gearing. Well, warrants will grow your money, as you can see from the example, anything between 3 times to up to 20 times, which is why they're very popular, because for some people, within a day, they're already maximizing their view by 20 times, right? So all warrants have got different effective gearing levels. You just need to pick which you're comfortable with. Okay, those who are a bit lower risk, you should probably try something about 3 times or 4 times. That's fine. And you can find it on our website. And finally, always trade any instrument on high spreads, just as shares. You don't want to trade on wide spreads because it's just not cost effective. How do you choose a warrant? We've got a tool called the Warrant Selector tool. You can see an example here of Hang Seng, where if you think that Hang Seng will come down from current levels, I think it's traded around 24,000. If you think it could come down to the 22,000 level because it's been a bit overbought recently, you can use the selector tool. Because you are bearish, you choose what? Call put. Put, okay? So you can select a put here, and what it will make you do is, like I said, put in your view. So you have to type in your target view on where you think there is a support, 22,000. And then you simply increase the number of weeks here. You can see the simulated returns. What does this mean? If Hang Seng were to fall about 8% in about 2 weeks, these put warrants here will grow anything between, ladies and gentlemen, 40% to 260%. This is why Hang Seng warrants are the most popular instrument in Singapore. In fact, when you go onto your Moon platforms and you go by turnover every day, you'll see that Hang Seng warrants are usually amongst those which are the most actively transacted, but more importantly, they are the ones that can potentially clock the highest gains